let's get on Shakur Twitterson, as he called himself, in the ring on the back of his shorts this Saturday. I I mean, outside of getting the knockout, he did what he said he was going to do. He stood there right in front of Artem. He um, didn't run, you know. Um, he controlled this fight from the start to the end. Um, yeah, he did everything that he said he was going to do except for the knockout. I don't think he ever told us that he was going to get the knockout or get the stoppage. There may have been room for him to get the stoppage in the middle rounds of the fight, but I mean, at this point, we know what type of fighter Shakur is. So he didn't run, and that wasn't good enough for you guys. He stood right in front of his guy. His defense is immaculate. So, a guy who's that defensively sound where another guy can't necessarily touch him and affect him, it is what it is. Whether that's exciting to you or not exciting to you, in technical fighting, what more could you ask of a fighter? He just doesn't have that power that you guys want from him. And I think we need to have a serious discussion, and maybe we even need to have a intervention, a fan intervention, where we accept the fighter that Shakur is. Shakur is a technical fighter. Shakur has a high IQ. He comes from, as he says time and time again, he comes from the school of hit and not be hit. Y'all want him to bang and he's not going to do it. He said he was going to do it, but at the end of the day, I feel like natural reaction is for him not to get hit. And this time, he managed to not get hit and touched up as much and not run at the same time. So again, I ask, what more do y'all want from my guy, Shakur Stevenson? He also said at the end of the fight that you're going to get great performances out of him and you're going to get the best out of him when you put him in a ring with the best guys. A lot of you guys say that he is not ready for Tank. And my question is, who is going to get him ready for Tank? In you all's book, who's going to get Shakur ready for Tank? I compared the potential matchup that he had that prepares him the best way possible, being the fight that he had in Valdez. And that's not to compare Valdez's power with Tank, but when you talk about a puncher, to this date, that's the biggest puncher that he's faced. And based on that, I would say that to a certain degree, that has prepared him as much as he can be prepared to fight Tank. I feel like Ryan Garcia wasn't prepared to fight Tank. Pitbull wasn't prepared to fight Tank. You go down the list. Frank wasn't prepared to fight Tank. Who did Frank fight that prepared him to fight Tank? And y'all gave Frank a chance. I even said that he had a fighter's chance, but I knew he was going to lose. So it's okay. Y'all still are saying he's not ready for Tank. Why? Because it would be like when he fought De Los Santos, run around that ring. Okay, I'm going to go back to when Tank fought Pitbull. Did Tank not fight the very same fight that Shakur fought against De Los Santos? Go back and watch it. He fought the exact same fight, which y'all consider Shakur to have been running from De Los Santos, is exactly what Tank did with Pitbull. There were times where Pitbull had Tank against the ropes, and you thought Tank was going to sit there and trade with him against the ropes? Hell no. Tank quickly pivoted out of there, got his ass out the way and back in the middle of the ring. He was slipping punches. He was rolling underneath punches. He was pulling back. He was using his feet. He was using the ring. When Tank wanted to, not Tank, when Pitbull wanted to put on the pressure, what's that little thing they call where they wave the little, he basically was doing that. He was out of there. The only difference is Tank Tank has the power. But even Tank's power didn't get Pitbull out. Granted, Tank hurt his hand in the 6th round. I think it was a, what was it? It was a, I don't think it was an overhand left. Maybe it was, but he hit him right on top of the head. And that's what injured his hand. And then as the rounds continued to progress, his hand got worse. But he was cracking Pitbull. He was cracking Pitbull with some shots, and Pitbull was still there the entire fight, putting on the same pressure, walking him down. So it's when you have a guy that's a pressure fighter like that and that has power to a certain degree that like you will be a fool to just stand there in front of him. He hurt his hand trying to land an uppercut. I don't think it was an uppercut. Maybe that was in the later rounds, but according to him, when it happened in the 6th round, I think he said he hit him on top of his head. Tank beat him up, Jay. So again, it's who's going to prepare him at this point. I think Shakur is as prepared as Shakur will ever be prepared to go up against Tank. I think Shakur's IQ is going to put him in a fight with Tank. Obviously, Tank probably wouldn't respect Shakur's power. So you probably are going to see Tank, similar to what he did with Frank, fighting more on the front foot, fighting, pressing forward. He's going to be one actually pressing the fight. And Shakur is up to him at that point to use his IQ to, I don't even want to say set up traps but set up his shots. He's going to have to be a counter fighter, a counter puncher, which I think he has the ability to do. I'm pretty sure if Tank catches him clean, Tank probably would put Shakur down, but I think that Shakur's IQ is going to make this a different type of fight. And at that point, then it's going to trigger Tank's IQ. And he's going to have to make adjustments as to how to close the distance in on Shakur, how to land against Shakur. Shakur is a bigger fighter as far as length and reach. So that's going to play into his advantage in the sense of like Tank being able to close that distance. But 12 rounds with a guy like Tank it's going to require a lot. It's going to require a lot. And unlike Valdez, Tank got the conditioning to go all 12 rounds. He got the conditioning to go all 12 rounds, and he can keep up with the same pace. So I think if we wait any longer, we'll get the fight. And when we get the fight, you guys are going to say that Tank is old. So, again, Sham said, I'm ready for Shakur against the better challenges so we can stop the nonsense that Shakur isn't an upper echelon's talent. But I'm under the impression we're going to see a different side of Shakur. Okay. He also said there isn't anybody who can get Shakur ready for Tank completely, but I love that Zapata fight, the idea. But I love the Zapata fight idea and the Loma fight, but nobody has the dangerous power at 135 as Tank to get Shakur ready. 100% agree. 100% agree. Now, when it comes to Artem, it seems as though De Los Santos had more power than Artem did. Artem landed on Shakur. He's not that hard to hit. No, he's definitely not that hard to hit, but can you hit him? Like I said, with the Tank, I think the only disadvantages that plays into this fight with Tank up against Shakur is the reach advantage. And with Shakur being able to just pull back with the slightest movement of his waist, like his waist management and his ability to miss shots because of that is something that we should be talking about. The footwork is there as well. Defensively, like he's sharp. So I think with those components, the reach advantage, I think it makes for a disadvantage, obviously, with Tank. But given the style that Shakur fights, especially, is why I'm saying that it will be a disadvantage. And I'm pointing that out. He is hard to hit, especially clean. I don't know, Thrill, how long I'll be on. We've only talked about two other fights to this point, so I got to work through the rest. But yeah, so with Artem though, one of the things that I would like to see with Shakur as he continues to grow in his career is to take more risk. And a lot of people were saying that he wasn't listening to his corner, and his corner was telling him to basically throw more combinations, to throw more punches, to take more risks. And what I would like to see for him to develop is that risk taking ability where he's willing to see how much power his opponent has. Obviously, not telling him and not wanting to see that happen in a reckless way, but it would be nice to see him kind of like how most of these fighters say, oh, once I felt they power, oh, I knew, okay, I could close the distance. Or I was more willing to close the distance because I felt the power and I knew that I could take the punch. I think Shakur has been so afraid to get knocked down, and maybe not even afraid. Maybe afraid is the wrong word. But if he was willing to, all right, if I get knocked down, I get knocked down. But I know myself. I know my chin. I know my stamina. I know my conditioning. If I get knocked down, I know I can get back up and I can continue this fight. And maybe, I can make the proper adjustments going forward. I feel if he gets to that point where he says, oh yeah, I felt this power, and I decided to turn it up from there. I decided I can allow for the distance to be closed a little bit more. We're probably never going to get Shakur to fight in the pocket. We'll probably never see that, ever. But would he have been more willing to exchange if that was the case? And he did exchange. But would he have been more willing to be offensively minded, even more than what he was? Possibly. Possibly. Let's see. Jay Chef, my thing is this. If you late to work, by all means, blow that stop sign. But if you got 20 minutes to spare, you're going to look like a real idiot getting pulled over. Okay. I see where you're going with that analogy. Basically, if you don't need to do it, why do it? Pace yourself out, right? Is that what you're saying? And that goes back to what I said last week. If you're a fighter in a situation where you can beat a guy easily, you don't have to pull every trick out the bag to beat him, then why do it? Get the win. Look good getting it, but do what you got to do and then move forward. All right, let's see. What else you guys got? Sham, nobody is going to admit this, but there's going to be a point in the Shakur fight, in the Shakur fight, Tank will be low-key, I don't know, frustrated. Rephrase that for me, Sham. Does Shakur move to 140 for better challengers if he can't get the Tank fight? I don't think so. I think he stays where he's at. And based on what he said that he's going to stay where he's at and he's going to become undisputed, and then he'll move on. Let's see. The problem with Shakur is that he's not looking good getting it. Again, to what definition? You guys want him to be this one fighter, and he's just not it. And you guys are criticizing him based on what you want him to be versus who he is. Shakur done if Tank catch him in the inside. I agree. Outspoken 520 Boxing said, I got a question for Tank fans and Shakur haters. Who was the last champion that Tank beat that he took from the champion? I know this answer and how long it was. Let's see. I don't know that answer. Jose Pedraza is what you guys are saying. 5 to 6 years, boxing fan. Why you got to say that? I was trying to read it, Sham. I I couldn't quite decipher. VABBC 215 says Shakur is weak at 140. In these times that you need every trick in the book because of the judging, look at Oshaki. Oshaki didn't need every trick in the book though. Oshaki needed to I can't even say that he needed, right? Because at the end of the day, it was a robbery. And we're going to pause because we're going to get to that. Let's just hold. Okay, DW said Pedraza 7 years ago. I'm only criticizing him for the fans walking out of stands. Sweet Pea was a southpaw slick boxer fan, never walked out on him. He was super entertaining. However, you're talking about in an era where people really appreciated boxing and the art of boxing and the science of boxing. Today, people, instant gratification, right? They want to see the knockout now. They want to see power now. They want to see excitement now. Half these people are drunk and, they just want something to woo about. So, yeah. I think Williams Zepeda can stop Shakur. I don't know. Shakur, a good technical boxer, and has a good defensive mind. Yeah, I gotcha. Okay, what do you think does the best numbers? Tank Loma or Tank Shakur? Tank Shakur. Depending on where it happens. If it happens in the States, I'm going to say Tank Shakur. If it happens overseas, I'm going to say Tank Loma. KO is what the new boxing fans want. Yes. They want KO and shit talking. That's what they want. Shakur is a Tim Duncan of the 135. I like that. He definitely is. Not really. Floyd was a great defense and still made his fights interesting. I was thinking about that this past weekend and trying to figure out what's the difference between how Floyd was able to keep his fans engaged and interested in wanting more versus Shakur. Because Floyd didn't have the power. I mean, when was his last knockdown? Maybe Miguel Cotto, maybe was anybody before Miguel Cotto that he scored a knockdown on? I don't know. Yes, Floyd fights were all pay-per-view. Yeah, but that's because of the fan base that he had. And maybe also, again, that's a conversation and a topic worth discussing. For sure. Because what is the difference between Floyd's style and Shakur's style? I think because of Floyd's style and because Floyd's lack of power, I feel like a lot of guys had confidence and really thought that they could knock Floyd out. And he continuously proved them wrong every fight. But fought a very similar fight to Shakur, so I don't understand. it. Floyd lead up to fights is what sold him in the money era. They paid to see him lose. Yes, exactly. Is Mason too young to step up for the opportunity? Step up for the opportunity to fight who? Outspoken 520 also said, I don't know if I'm reading this twice, but Sweet Pea is one of the greatest defensive wizards ever. Sweet Pea style wasn't appealing either. If he was, who wouldn't got robbed versus, if he was, he wouldn't have got robbed versus Chavez Sr. and De La Hoya. Floyd has to be the villain to get popularity. Villain. Yeah, look, young Floyd was knocking shit out, right? But when he moved up, Floyd finished his career at 147. 147, I don't think he went up to 154. But yeah. I'm not sure if De Los Santos punched harder than Valdez. Neither one of them really was able to land much on Shakur. Just like now, Tank, everyone pay to see if he takes a L. I don't know. I feel like Tank is a little bit different. I feel like a lot of people pay for Tank to get the knockout, not for him to take a L. I think a lot of people know his fights are going to be exciting, one, and he's going to bring out the celebrities too, which was a thing that Floyd did. Floyd brought out a lot of celebrities. So I definitely feel like that's the difference between Tank and his star ability to draw fans in is he's an exciting fighter. I'm pretty sure like if we broke down how many people bet on Tank or, feel more inclined to bet on Tank for a knockout, I know people that have won crazy money betting on a knockout with Tank. So I think people watch because of that. And then also people go to the fights, I feel like, because of like the atmosphere that he creates, the fight week atmosphere that he creates. It's almost like what I've heard is like red carpet. Yeah, we pay to see Tank KO opponents. He fought Cotto at 154 and Canelo at 152. Okay, his only 2 fights north of 147. Yeah, he knocked Cotto down. And Cotto was, I feel like towards the middle and end of his career was infamous for running into shots. I don't hate Shakur, but he was talking all this, and even on the fight, he was telling his corner, he was going to stop Buddy, and nothing happened. Maybe he felt like he had his opponent weak. Maybe he felt like he had him weak, and Artem just had that will not to go down. Yep, Tank got it. He can fight and bring out people to his fights. That's because Mayweather wasn't scared to fight the best, and he wasn't scared to move up in weight. Agreed, but there is the argument that, Floyd fought people on his turn. Floyd fought people on his turn. Kind of in that sweet spot where it was like they weren't exactly too far from their prime, and they weren't too close to the prime. Okay, moving on from Shakur,